Hey, Ilangho.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Your video is not seen.
No, I'm upstairs again. On Wednesday, I should be able to go nearer to the box.
You're able to see me?
No, I can't see you. No, it's better I leave it off because I'm too far away from the box, from the Wi-Fi.
Okay. So you're not able to see me?
No.
No? No?
No, Ilangho.
Okay.
I've turned it off on my Skype, so I can't see you.
Fine. So it's an audio chat.
Yeah.
Today you're talking about the resonance.
Yeah. Again, we talked about it last week, I think.
Yeah. So resonance, this resonance is between two objects.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Ilangho, I really fail when I speak about it because I can only put it in words which are in opposite, so you'll always find the opposite. The thing that I like about resonance is it reminds me of music or something, but it really isn't two objects that are resonating ultimately, but it's life remembering itself, and all there ever is life.
Okay. And you have been always saying that there is no teaching and there is no prescription.
Mm-hmm.
But are we, during these talks, analyzing the description of what life is?
I think that what happens in these talks, but again these are just words, so it doesn't really matter what I say, but is that something's being remembered by these talks, but it's not an intellectual thing. I'm not presenting to you intellectually. There's loads of holes in what I say and I contradict myself a lot. It's more that in every word that's spoken there is a screaming nothing, 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 everything, this, in every word that's being spoken. So the mind keeps trying to make it something in time and something for the person, and then these talks are simply pointing to this. But ultimately, that's just a dance around language, and that really can't be it. But
yeah, 5 years ago you were awakened, enlightened. So before that,
that's the way the story goes. The story goes that before Lisa suffered, and then this moment happened, and then this massive change happened. But that's just the story of it. It's not a truth in any way. Just like you would say you went to your friends for lunch today and the lunch wasn't very good, and then another person said they went and the lunch was great. It's not a definite. It's just words.
Can we have an analogy like saying before Bali, like you were like us, blind, and now you have got the light? So you are on both sides of the fence.
Like but it's only relevant to you guys. I don't think about this. It only ever comes up for you guys. I don't sit here and think before Bali I was blind and now I see. It's simply life happening. I'm not really thinking about myself in a timeline, only for practical reasons. Or it's only for practicality or for these talks or in social situations. But ultimately it's so irrelevant before and after. It's relevant to you guys because you feel like you want to listen to someone that knows what they're talking about. But it's gone. That's gone. It's like the tree that fell in the forest. Did it make a sound if nobody heard it? That Bali and that Lisa before that suffered is completely gone. And did it ever happen? It's totally irrelevant and mind-blowing. It seemed to happen, but it's like a dream at night last night.
But it happened.
Really?
Pardon?
Really?
You must tell me.
Well, it seems to happen, but I mean, last night, if you dreamt last night or in the last couple of weeks, did those dreams ever really happen?
The dreams happened, yes, but they were dreams.
Are you sure they happened? When you wake up in the morning, where did they happen? How did they happen?
They happened during sleep. That's how we think. A dream is happening during sleep. Sometimes we daydream also. opening our eyes, where images and thoughts and emotions flash across in the brain or whatever, we don't know about it. So the reason why I'm asking this is there anything that they say some sages are born enlightened, like probably Adi Shankara or somebody like that, but you had in between this change. So I was just trying to find out, like, is there anything that you can tell us which could help us? Because your talks, though you say it's a resonance and there are no two objects, is actually an act of helping us, the guys out here, us, we.
It might seem that way, but in the moment when I'm speaking, it doesn't feel like that. There is simply speaking happening.
Yeah, I understand that the speaking is happening and God is speaking to God. I mean, that part of it I understand. The entire universe is actually creating this miracle and this mystical, magical moment. But you had teachers before, and though you do not agree that teacher-disciple relationships exist, but a lot of people like Wayne Licherman, who came after Ramesh Palsekar, all these people talk about some relationships happening, and you have had this in your history. So can we just wish it aside?
Can we?
I understand in the present nothing is happening. Yeah.
Why do you? Why? Well, I understand. Because the human wants to feel like it's following something. It needs the guru-disciple relationship. But you aren't. Who is Ilangho? You aren't you. You think you're a person that's come from time and arrived here, and that you walk to your computer before it's turned on, but actually you were never that person. That person was an experience appearing in this. That person wasn't experiencing. The person that came into the room, the person that had breakfast, that slept last night, that's a doctor, that's read all these books and knows all these things, that's Indian, he's not experiencing that now. He is an experience appearing. And the suffering lies in the identification with being that person. It's not the disappearance of, it's not the disappearance of that person. That person can appear and disappear, but that's not the experiencer. So who now is listening to Lisa? Who now is waking up? Who is going to follow a teacher?
There is, we've discussed this, we apparently thought that it is the me software which is sort of creating this addition of this personality to the present moment and keeps on linking it up and creates the story of Ilangho.
Yeah.
And that me software creates the suffering.
And it creates the idea of this teacher out there as well, that it needs to follow.
Correct.
And so, importance or not, if there is a interest and resonance with what Lisa's speaking, then that's lovely. And I do these talks twice a week, and if you're in Europe, then I speak regularly in Europe. But that doesn't mean that who you are is that person that's in relationship with the Lisa character. That is an experience happening. Who you've always been and what's being pointed to here is the stillness, is the no thing, which is everything now, is the present.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
That the present is everything, but then this personality pops in and out, and this me software links it up to a story.
Yeah, and then it thinks that this is more holy, or that this is more sacred than something else, and that's okay. If it thinks that it's important, this relationship, then that's okay. If that's the way it's going, that's the thoughts that are being produced. But who's the experiencer? That one that thinks that it is of benefit isn't the experiencer here, isn't the person that wakes up. What's being remembered is no thing, which is here always and is everything.
But the problem for the person happens because of the suffering.
Yeah. So then on the personal level, we could tell the story that following Lisa is good, or having the guru relationship is good, or we could tell the story that having the guru relationship is bad, and neither of them are correct. Neither of them matter. Either way, whichever story you go down.
No, I'm not interested in the story at all.
Okay.
My question is not about the teacher-disciple relationship at all, though I did pop that now.
Yeah.
My basic question is that we have sort of defined enlightenment as a movement from the person to the whole.
Yeah.
And another point was it's the end of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the end of suffering can happen only when this me software stops operating.
When this disclaimer
software stops operating, and I am sort of, like, it's not the question of should we follow a guru or a teacher disciple. My question is, how do I disconnect this me software from an intellectual understanding in this experience? Is there any way I can do this? It's the whole asking the whole.
Yeah.
How to disconnect a software from this body-mind practice?
The only answer I can give, but remember my answers can never be truth in language, because language is something moving and it's a comparison. But the nearest answer is what Ramesh said as well, is it's happening. So you ask me how, and my reply is it's happening. How do I get there? And I say, it's happening.
Life is happening.
It's happening, yeah. So how do I get there? And the most accurate, but it can never be true, is it's happening.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask was, even in your recent, one of the posts, there was about the pain pleasure principle, about the predator, human as a predator, and being a pain pleasure animal. And the pain is when you have your hand cut or burn your hand, there is pain. Thinking about it with the me creates the suffering. Similarly, the happiness part of it is, you eat something good, there is happiness. Then you crave for it, it becomes a pleasure.
Yeah.
Correct. So what is it that experiences this? Is it the body, or is it the me, or is it the wholeness? Where is this pain pleasure principle, this experience happening to Ilangho?
Yeah. Those are sensations, chemical reactions happening in the body, and then consciousness is aware of it. But the more you pierce it, you begin to realize that consciousness is made up of nothing. But so it's a combination. There's the experience of pleasure happening in the body, and then there's that registration that happens in the brain. This is pleasure. So the repetition of it and the wanting of more of it. And it's a sensation happening in the body with also the combination of consciousness. Then this added dynamic of the me comes in and says, that's who I am. Those chemical reactions, that functioning is who I am, the consciousness, the feelings, the pleasure. And that's not true. Who you are is life itself.
How do I erase this me from this life itself, what you're teaching us?
It's happening, Ilangho. It is happening.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating sometimes, but it's also really beautiful, this message. Like, at some points, the person feels frustrated because it wants to go somewhere, but it's also really beautiful. I mean, what a lovely answer. I'm not saying to you, you've got to go and do this, and you've got to sell yourself to the devil in order to get it. I'm saying it's happening. It's being taken care of.
It's happening, life is happening, you are life. That's what you're telling us.
And it's being taken care of. It's not your job. Come, AC, you can come in. Come on. Come on. Sorry, I just have to let my dog in. Come on, you can come in. Good girl. It's okay, it's okay. Go. Okay, I'm back again now.
Yeah. You're being taken care of, you said.
Yeah, it's happening. It's being taken care of. Everything, every last detail, every drop of rain. That doesn't mean that good things are always going to happen to Ilangho in our world of things, but I mean it's all happening. It's all doing its dance beyond you, beyond any idea of choice or free will. The rain falls, the wind blows, the sun shines, the heart beats, the lungs breathe, and the mouth speaks and the eyes see. It happens. And then this little person says, me, I am in control of it all. There's some people in A Course of Miracles that even believe that they are in control of the weather.
So this is an automatic universe.
Yeah, it's automatic. It's happening.
So our conversation is automatic.
It's a happening, yes, it's automatic. Well, in our limited language, we could call it automatic.
So what is to happen will happen when it is destined to happen.
Yes, yes.
Wow. I think that seals that part of the questioning, that the so-called personality has no say in this life of this body mind.
Yeah.
So getting frustrated is actually a stupid thing.
But if that happens, then that's what's happening.
That's the design. That's the design for this person to suffer, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Till that bang comes, like for Lisa.
Until that one, so bang comes like.
The bang, and Lisa explodes into nothingness and everything.
Oh yeah.
Personality sort of, the big bang.
The big bang.
Yeah. Hoping the big bang happens to us.
It will. It's a happening.
But how is it that only 1 in a billion or 1 in a sort of, it happens only to very few people usually.
It's what everything's made up of. There's no other place to go.
What do you mean by that?
There's no other destination for the person.
Mm-hmm. So ultimately what you mean is every human being will get enlightened?
Yes.
You mean in future births or in this birth?
That's what everything's made up of. As soon as when the body dies, there will be total freedom.
For who?
Nobody. But it's always been for nobody. Even when the body's alive and it dies, the illusion of self, it's still nobody that wakes up.
You were talking also last time about space and time when we got cut off. And you said, when I put my finger towards the webcam and, said, this is space. You said, no, it is just picking up of, the brain picks up these things and creates space.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little more about this? Because time is something which is like the Pink Panther. It's like a phantom. It keeps on moving and we don't understand how it moves from the future to the present to the past. But space is something which is, sensible, like in the sense, each of our 5 senses are feeling it every moment. There is a room, there is a computer.
Yeah, and that you can potentially walk out of the room. You think that you can walk outside of the room, and that you can walk away from the room. And but that's only happening in imagination as well. Actually, there is just stillness expressing itself and changing in every instant. But the imagination puts it together and thinks, I walked out of the room and now I'm somewhere else. It's the same somewhere else, just with the different scenery. There's not really space. When you put your foot up against the wall and it looks like there's distance, that's imagination that's pulling it all in. The same imagination that's imagining yesterday and tomorrow. They're interrelated, time and space.
So there is no tomorrow, there was no yesterday.
There seems to be. That's the way that this illusion or this world appears, is that there's time and space, but ultimately no, there is simply what's happening, which is undivided, which is happening and not happening, and everything spontaneously appearing from this, not from the past. Past appears here, future appears here. But it seems to happen. It seems like I walked my dog before this talk and then I'm going to go downstairs and have dinner after this talk. But ultimately, that's not a reality. That always appears here.
But even you say that you walk the dog and then you're going to have dinner.
Yeah, that's how it happens in the human world. And it's not me, me as saying it. That's the functioning of the Lisa character. And that's how it functions in the Lisa world.
But do you mean to say you never walked your dog?
No, it seemed to happen, but ultimately no. I didn't walk my dog.
You didn't walk your dog?
It seemed to be the way of things that Lisa, in the Lisa world, in the world where Lisa appears, that she walked her dog, sat down, came onto Ustream, and then later will have dinner.
Yeah.
But ultimately, everything is spontaneously appearing for stillness, and that image and those ideas are only ever appearing here. They're not an actuality.
I understand now the actuality is that we are just listening to sounds.
Yeah.
But there was a walking of the dog.
That's unknowable. That's a mystery. There seemed to be a past where there was a walking of the dog and the energy was manifesting of that, but it's nothing that you can ever contain. It's a total mystery as to what's happening. And now there is this, and this is all there actually ever is, with the image of past and future.
No, I understand that now what's happening is the entire universe creating a miracle of two people speaking as everything else in the entire universe is happening. But is it not that, every second is moving?
Well, not really. I mean, when all bodies die and humans die out, will this have ever happened?
But as we speak, every sentence is comprehended.
Yeah. In the human world, we seem to have time. What about my dog now? Did yesterday happen to my dog? And what about when all the humans die out? Did this ever happen?
It has happened, but it has not been registered by,
Are you sure you can say that?
With evidence, yes. Without evidence, no. Hello?
Hello. Oh, I mean, like it's like the analogy of the Zen koan of if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody there to hear it, does it make a sound?
I mean, that's
if there's nobody to think about it, did this ever happen?
That's a big question mark.
I know, it's beautiful.
There was another thing I think Einstein said was, if you do not look, when I am not looking at the moon, is the moon there?
Yeah.
It was by Einstein, I believe. Another thing I want to tell you was, Einstein, in one of his autobiographical quotes with one very close friend, kept on telling him that he was not able to decipher the now, the present moment. In physics, there is no answer to the present moment, the now.
Yeah. Because this present moment is God, and God can never be found in this world. So we as humans will never work it out.
Once again, present moment is God, is it?
Yeah, and God can never be found in this world, so we will never be able to work it out. We can only ever work out time and what's in time.
So what's your definition of God?
Not a thing in this world, yet everything. But we will never be able to work out this present moment, ever.
Okay. Now, you are in England now, am I right?
Uh-huh.
You are in England.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, that's how we speak as humans, but yes, I'm in England.
Yeah, but you remember your parents, you home back to your parents' home. I mean, these things are happening to Lisa.
That's how this world works. Yes, this experience at the moment is through a human, and the human lives in time. It doesn't make it a reality. So the human can sit there and say, yes, I have parents back in England, and I'm going to have dinner with them later, and they're converting their house. But that doesn't make what we speak about an actuality. The human thinks it is an actuality. It thinks what it thinks is true. It thinks it can look at life, it can look at the world. It can't. Thoughts appear in this world. Thoughts appear in this, and it's part of the human functioning, but it's not a reality. It's like the bird thinking that it can comprehend the world by its singing, by what it sings. So it's like the whole world can be wrapped up in tweet, 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 tweet. And it's the same with humans.
Every thought is an image from the past. This is not the reality. But as I'm looking at the computer,
and it's really limited to the human brain size. But it doesn't mean that we should exclude that that's what the experience seemingly is at the moment. It's looking through a human body which works in time and space. But it doesn't mean it's real, and it doesn't mean it's actually happening. And the only freedom in that dream that's appearing at the moment as a human experience is oh, sorry, my dog's just being told off. She's eating something with my parents, I think. So I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, that's gone.
The freedom in the human experience
is the present, which will never be found by the human, because the human is in time and space, and the present isn't something that can be found in time and space. It is time and space, but it cannot be found in that world of things, in subject and object. It cannot be found there, yet it is all of it. It's fantastic. It's the what do you call it? The carrot in front of the human. You can never find God, yet everything is God.
You have said this This came in yesterday's Julie's post from your book.
Oh yeah?
This is always free. It is so radical and so beautiful. It is being missed because the apparent person has been looking for a singular thing for its happiness, like peace or happiness or good behavior.
Yeah.
So, I think all the seekers, we keep asking for enlightenment as a mystic, earlier on at least in our seeking, as a mystical, blissful, as a mystical, blissful, like the angels are singing and, the rainbows appearing.
Yeah.
But now, as we hear teachers like you coming down up front and telling us, cut the crap, it is just this. The question boils down to a very selfish question of, how can I, Ilangho, live with a body-mind mechanism which is automatic without the suffering? That's the question it finally boils down to.
Yeah. The suffering will stop ultimately when it stops, and it's not anything you can do. And in a way, the more effort that Ilangho puts into it, the more he suffers. The more that he tries to get to freedom, the more he suffers, because the more he's running in time. So in that sense, Ilangho cannot wake himself up, and he cannot make himself feel better in that way. In the prison, though, there are ways to tidy the prison, but this isn't something that I know about. Like I was talking about with Jackie earlier, like if somebody's got really negative, dark thought patterns, then exploring them might help relieve those patterns. Or if somebody's really traumatized from the past, that might help make the prison better. That's not waking up, but it might make things a nicer dream.
But even that has to be an automatic update, like the computer.
Yeah, but everything is automatic, but that doesn't mean that the human doesn't go and seek it out. Seeking it out is automatic, but it doesn't mean that the human doesn't contemplate it, think about it, look it up on the internet. That is part of what's happening. The human functions through apparent choice. So it might hear Lisa saying that if you want to feel better, you go and do therapy, or go and do some forms of therapy or massage, and then it might go and look it up. It might think, I'll look up therapy and look it up on the internet, and it might decide to go for it. But that is the automatic functioning of the human, just like the automatic function of the tree is to take nutrients from the soil. The human appears with apparent choices and apparent thinking in order to get things sparked out. It's sparked off. It thinks that when it hears what I say, that it's got to give up doing everything. I've got to stop doing it. The human will always function with apparent choices and decisions and logic and thinking and contemplating which one's the best one. But that doesn't imply that that's who you are. That is not the experiencer, and that's not the actual source of how it happens. That's the appearance. The appearance of choice doesn't mean somebody's choosing. That's just what's appearing in this.
But why does it is okay for people like us seekers in the entire world who are caught up still in the maya or the illusion of life, asking questions and expecting answers for getting our freedom. But Lisa is an entity who never compromises on the delivery of her oneness. Why should she talk about a cage and then a therapy for Jackie or whoever it is? She should just say like there is no therapy. Why does Lisa compromise or come down from her position of non-conformity of the oneness? I wanted to ask a couple of talks ago. You were talking about therapy, about massage and other things. Why does Lisa say that?
Well, ultimately it just is coming out now, but like it's just what's coming. But because a lot of people come here with a lot of suffering, and there could be a tidying up of a cage. Somebody's coming with a big opening up of a wound and bleeding coming out, and they say, but nothing's happening. Actually, you could go to a hospital and just get a bandage to put around the wound. Like, saying nothing's happening is not going to help that. I don't see a problem with saying that, but I don't know how to make the cage better. That's not non-duality, and that's not what this is talking about. Just like I'm not talking about how to fix a broken leg. But a lot of people that are coming to the talks are expecting help in the prison. And there's nothing wrong with tidying up, and there's an attempt to inform people that there can be making the prisons better, but that's not here. And there's nothing wrong with trying to make the prison better. Some people hear what I say and they think they And the new thought patterns that arise is she's telling me that I just have to suffer like hell and not attempt to make it better. Like, I'm not saying that. That's
so
I'm not.
So you're talking like a comforter, like a friend.
I don't know really. What can't really work it out intellectually.
That's how I look at it, because you say there is an illusory cage, and you're giving an illusory medicine.
Well, I don't know if I'm really giving a medicine, because I wouldn't know what those medicines are. But I'm just saying that the cage can be made better. If you're lying there in agony with a broken leg, they can be going to doctors and fixing that leg. If you've been traumatized by an aeroplane, they could be going and seeking trauma therapy. And a lot of people listen to me and think that it means you have to sit on a chair and not do anything. And that's not what's being talked about here. What's being talked about is non-duality, which says there is nobody there.
Yeah. So when some of the talks ago, when I heard you talking about this therapy, I was thinking basically any teacher, any guru or person in your status is actually a killer of the eye.
Yes. Yeah.
But whenever you talk about the cage and prescriptions of therapy, you are actually not killing. You are again, trying to improve the me. Am I right?
Yeah.
This is just a clarification for me.
Yeah. It's not. I'm not. That's totally for the person when I'm talking about inside the cage. It doesn't help you wake up at all. It's nothing to do with non-duality. But you don't need to sit listening to me with a broken leg and open wounds and sitting there in panic because you had a burglar break in a week ago and you're petrified and like it doesn't. But I'm just trying to make that clear, the difference between doing up the cage, making the life of the apparent person better, and non-duality. They're not the same things. And it might not be so relevant to you, Ilangho, because it might, in the West, non-duality is very mixed up with therapy now. Most non-duality speakers speak, I would say, 80% about therapy and making the dream better, and then only 20% about actual non-duality.
So are you compromising on that?
No, not therapy and non-duality have got nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do with each other. But if your house is dirty, there can be cleaning of the house. That doesn't negate, by me saying there's nobody there and that there isn't somebody, doesn't negate cleaning the house. That's what I'm trying to point out. Like, I'm not against it. Some radical non-duality speakers like myself would say, don't clean the house, don't, and would completely, and I'm not saying do or don't do these things. I'm just trying to point out clearly what non-duality is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you do or don't do them here, ultimately, but it might make the illusory self more comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with making the illusory self more comfortable. A lot of speakers would say that by making the illusory self more comfortable, you're trapping yourself more in the dream. But I don't think that. I think that's impossible as well.
Yeah, looping back to the question a few minutes ago that I was asking that is there any way to end the suffering? Then you said the more you try to do something, you'll be caught up in that web of illusion. But some teachers, like for example, Eckhart Tolle says, be in the now.
Yeah.
You even don't advocate that, right?
No, but when I'm saying but when I said that to you, Ilangho, I was speaking to you from the perspective of non-duality. I wasn't speaking to you from the inside the cage trying to make things better. That's that's different. So when I'm saying to you, you'll constantly be looping, that's because you're looking for liberation in the cage. You will never find liberation in the cage. There you will circle forever. If you're in the cage and you've got a broken arm and your arm is gaping and bleeding, you will be able to fix that arm in the cage. You'll put a bandage on it and take medicines and the arm will get better. If you've been traumatized by a dog before and you go for trauma therapy, there's a good chance that trauma will get better. However, but you will never solve the non-duality problem within the cage. That you will loop forever. This is the distinction I'm trying to make. So you try to look for yourself in that cage. You try to look for non-duality in that cage. You try to look for freedom in that cage, and you will circle that cage like a hamster goes in its wheel forever. But if you've got a broken arm, that can be fixed within the cage. That's the law of the dream. that something gets broken, it can be repaired. If you are scared of something, that might be overcome. But you will never find non-duality in that cage. That will go on forever. The more you look for yourself in the cage, the more you will start running. And this is the distinction I try to make, but it's a very hard distinction because people always see the fixing of themselves as waking up, as liberation. And that's not what's being talked about here. And all speakers, most speakers, speak about therapy and fixing the broken arm and non-duality as the same thing, and they're not the same thing.
This fixing up of the arm, what happen only if there is a destined effect to that?
Ultimately, yes. It's only if that happens, if the impulses and the urges come and the thoughts come. Yeah.
So as long as the me is there, it's the hamster story.
As long as the me's there, the me might accomplish getting more money. It might accomplish fixing up even though it's not the me acting independently, but the person might accomplish fixing up the arm. But the me will never find liberation in the cage, in the prison.
So the ultimate liberation is when the me collapses.
Yes.
Is there a way for that?
Not in the cage, no. Nope. But the cage can be tidy, but in the cage, non-duality cannot be found. In the world, no thing, God, cannot be found. But it is every ounce of it simultaneously, but that cannot be seen by somebody.
So let us not talk about the cage.
Okay.
Let's not talk about the world. Let's talk about just this moment.
Yeah.
There is nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing.
And everything.
And there is this, which is stillness appearing as sound. Stillness appearing as movement. Silence appearing as sound. Or you could say the big one, no thing appearing as everything.
Okay, another question. I mean, this more in a lighter vein. Before 5 years ago and now, before 5 years ago, you were like us, like seekers of truth and whatever. And when we start thinking about what is this mysterious power doing all this miraculous, mystical thing, now after 5 years, are you able to get a glimpse into this magic happening? As you can tell us, we are in this
all
side of the...
All there is magic happening. All there is magic.
How is it happening so greatly?
Oh, I can't go behind the scenes. But all there is, it is...
That only the enlightened ones know about it.
I can't step out of this and look at God from a distance. There's nothing separate from God to be able to look at him or her or it. It is everything. It's this very sound. It's this very light. It's total magic appearing. And it's happening and not happening.
Yeah, but do you agree that there is a hiss or a her or a knit which is creating all these things?
No, but I have to use language again. That's why I say all of them.
Yeah, the oneness is creating this.
But it's not creating separately from it.
But there is creation happening and destruction simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Well, I mean, nothing can be ultimately right because it's language trying to grasp something they can't grasp. But this is appearance happening and appearing and disappearing. The forms growing and
can we say like
moving and changing? Huh?
Can we say that there is an energy flux happening every second, every nanosecond?
I don't know what that means.
Energy.
Like an energy flux?
Energy movement. The famous Einstein equation, energy is equal to mass. The mass of my body, your body, this computer is actually energy in a different form.
Yeah.
Is it that this energy is constantly changing and that is the God?
Yes. But when you go inside of energy is not a thing, yet it's everything.
Yeah.
But it's nearly time to end now, Ilangho. We could go on forever.
Yeah.
It's past 7. I do enjoy these conversations. It's nice speaking with you.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you, Ilangho.
Thank you very much.
Bye.